Well, we're on.
Here we are once again on Thursday.
We actually just stay here 24/7. We sit in these chairs. We don't leave. You know, they bring food to us. They take our pulses to make sure we're alive. He's Joe Rayo, Fios 1 News, Lower Hudson Valley.
And he's Joe Chiaffi, Fios 1 News, Long Island, and Fios 1 News, New Jersey, Joe.
Yep, so let's get going. We actually have two models we can look at. You know, we should do this, should have been thought of this sooner, but I don't always remember to look at the HRRR model, and it only goes out usually about 18 hours. But when they run it at 0Z or 0Z, which is midnight Greenwich time or 7 p.m. our time, they actually run it out sometimes to as far out as 36 hours. And that means it'll take us through not only the event that's coming through tonight into tomorrow morning, but the one for Friday night into Saturday morning. So, shall we?
Surely.
Oh, good.
Yes.
You took the cue. Excellent. Okay, so let's start with the HRRR model. Well, I got the NAM, but we'll back it off. Let's start with the HRRR.
Wait a little while, because all the NAM will go all the way out to 84 hours by the time we're ready to close shop.
Which is good. So, okay, so we're going to show you the HRRR model that just ran. It was an hour ago. This model runs every hour. It's a super short range model, and just because it's super short range doesn't mean that it's super good, because it makes super errors. By the way, this is for tonight into tomorrow morning. And this, Joe, I think seems to be playing according to plan. You've got this area of snow across Pennsylvania. This is at 2 a.m. and it looks like it reaches New York City at about 4 a.m. So it might be a shade faster. Mm-hmm. And maybe the snow holds on for an extra hour or so, because it does have it there up until about 7 a.m. But you see how quick it is. So this is, for us anyway, for southern Pennsylvania, where it's, and northern Maryland and those areas where it may snow a little longer, they're probably going to wind up with a few inches out of this. But I think for us, it's it's basically about 2 or 3 hours worth, and then it's done. And the northern edge doesn't get that far north at all.
It would not be at all surprising if many places, let's say north of 287 in the Hudson Valley, saw nothing more than just some flakes in the air, and that's about it. And
right.
Even in the worst case scenario, I couldn't see much more than a light coating. I mean, this morning where I live in Putnam Valley, we had what I've been calling a 1/4 of an inch of granulated sugar on my driveway and on my deck. And tomorrow morning, I don't anticipate to see anything more than that. In fact, I expect to see a lot less than that.
Yeah, I had a solid coating on Long Island last night, and when I got up this morning, and of course, within an hour it was all long gone.
Right.
But this system, unlike the one from last night, which came down from the northwest and really didn't have any kind of Gulf moisture or any Atlantic moisture involved, this one's actually come up from the southwest, with a little bit of Gulf moisture with it. So it's weak and it's weakening. Just as it gets in here, it starts to fall apart. So it's really a matter of whatever you get in a couple of hours. I think for Long Island, it's a coating. Maybe an outside chance if you squeeze out 1/10 of an inch of liquid, somebody winds up with 1 inch. And then it's gone, and we spend the rest of the day in clouds, because now here comes the next one. This one, as this has evolved over the last couple of days, it's gotten a little stronger, a little stronger, a little stronger. And, this kind of caught my eye, Joe, getting a little bit nervous. I'm going for, I'll show you my snow forecast map that I did for this for Friday night and Saturday. But this is not a half bad little low that's going to be off the Virginia coast. And we're going to have, a borderline or slightly less than borderline atmosphere, or slightly more than borderline. I'm trying to say that it looks like it might be, if it's 32 you're looking for, it'll be maybe 31. Mm-hmm. So, just cold enough. And the HRRR, at least, through 4 o'clock Saturday morning, this would all fall overnight Friday night, starting at around 9 or 10 o'clock and falling all through Friday night into early Saturday morning. And it still has some more to go here into Saturday morning. I'm thinking this is what I did. You tell me what you think.
Well, I'm not.
I'm a grown up. I can handle it.
I'm just concerned about how much. It seems like with each passing run, there's a little bit more in terms of sleet or ice mixing in, and it's coming or creeping more and more to the north. So
we don't see that on this run.
Yeah.
Right. We don't see this. Well, it's offshore though, Joe. For area. Look, I'm thinking.
It's bordering the south shore of Long Island.
At 4 a.m., but you still get a fair amount of precip before that.
Right.
But let's forget. For a moment, let's lay that aside, because arguably, yes, that could wind up being further north. But I think this could wind up being maybe for southern New England, for southern Connecticut, maybe down through Westchester County, south of Route 84, or along and south of Route 84.
I'd say a couple of 3 inches.
Okay, well. That's
it might
what
be
I have.
Just enough. It might be enough so that I actually will have to break out the snowblower on Saturday morning.
We have to. Well, let's just for laughs. Let's just see at least through 4 a.m. Now, this is as far out as it goes, so we can't go beyond that. But if every flake stuck, now this is the two systems combined, and we can't subtract out of it. Let's just assume that it's a coating for most of the area from say. Northern New Jersey, Long Island, and for Westchester. This is all from the overnight stuff. So at least through 4 a.m., it looks like it's got a 1 to 2 inch snowfall on the HRRR. And we could also look at it in terms of accumulated precip. I mean, it's 2 to 3 tenths of liquid through 4 a.m. All right, so
this looks like it looks like for the folks who are, let's say, up in my neck of the woods or Orange County and Dutchess and Ulster. Lighter amounts, perhaps, although we're going to be colder, and that may help to puff up the snow a little bit more, as opposed to places further south where it's going to be a heavier dose of precipitation, where there may be a little bit of mixing, or maybe the consistency of the snow is not quite as fluffy. I don't know. I'd say right now, until we come back tomorrow, I'd say that there is the potential. I've been saying this all along through the day today. A very light event tonight, a somewhat greater event coming our way for tomorrow night, and then comes Sunday. I
started mentioning a slushy couple of inches,
right?
But judging from the look of what's happening in terms of the upper air, Joe, and how the models have been slowly catching on to the fact that that system looks a bit more vigorous tonight on satellite and radar. That
is the NAM.
This is the NAM now. I just switched to the NAM. That there might be some upside with the second one. The first one, I think, on the NAM is going to play out the same way. That darker patch of blue goes over the area that winds up getting the most snow out of this.
Philadelphia, Camden, New Jersey, Wilmington, Delaware, those places will probably have problems tomorrow morning for their morning commute. But I don't see that happening. At least, I won't speak of New Jersey and Long Island. Those are your territories. But for the Hudson Valley, I really don't think there's going to be much of a problem tomorrow morning. I don't expect any winter weather advisory or anything.
No. They were thinking about putting it up last night in some areas because for freezing drizzle. I actually had a little bit of freezing drizzle when I got home last night, but thankfully it didn't amount to too much. Now, here, the snow area, like on the HRRR, comes in and falls apart, and then you start to see the next system coming up for Friday night, and it actually is pretty close to the HRRR's idea. So there's your surface low.
Those are pretty dark shades of blue.
Yeah, you wonder whether this might wind up again. I looking at this and look at the HRRR and dealing with what we are dealing with in terms of the overall scheme of things, this to me says a slushy couple of inches for Friday night into Saturday. And we are out to 63 hours.
So we should have a crack at seeing what the foos says.
And in the meantime, I'll just pull up the total precip. Whoops. The NAM, Joe, gives for Long Island, so this is like, for Long Island and northern New Jersey, it's a clean number because they don't get too much from the first one. 4 to 5 tenths here of liquid.
Okay. So here we have the new foos, And
ooh, look at that.
Look at this right here.
4,300.
42.
That's at LaGuardia.
43. That's.
And more importantly, when you look at the temperatures and the thicknesses, Joe, it's it starts out at 36 hours is tomorrow. Wait, I'm trying to gauge my time.
That's Saturday morning.
That's Saturday morning. Okay, so that's -1, 0, -2.
That's snow.
And that's snow.
That's
and
snow.
going into it, it's 0, 0, and -1. So, and with that vertical motion, the thickness is low enough. So, and it's a 91, 91 on the R1, R2. I know you like to look at that.
Yeah.
Even at 24 hours, that low level saturated, is at 88.
Well, it's one big burst right here at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And it seems like most of that burst is concentrated after, let's say, midnight or 1 a.m. or whatever like that, toward the early morning hours. Because there's nothing. You look out on either side, there's nothing really before 1 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
But after 1 a.m., that's where you got the whole big blowout.
It also for the thing for tomorrow morning, it gives LaGuardia 1600s. Now, I've been kind of covering for a coating to an inch for Long Island, for northern New Jersey, especially as you go south from northernmost New Jersey, but you go south of Route 78 in particular. So I've been covering for a coating to an inch. The NAM would certainly argue that if we have 1600ths of an inch of liquid here, that we're going to get that inch.
Right.
And I know a lot of the snowplow guys. They each area's got. Some places the criteria is 2 inches to plow. Some it's 1, and some it's 3. So for some that the ones that are having have the 1 inch criteria, you might just get it. Now, how far that goes out into Long Island, I don't know, because sometimes in an instance like this, it cuts off to the north and to the northeast, but I think there's a fair chance that everybody could wind up with a coating to an inch. And now, if we're looking at 4300s, even look at Philadelphia. Philadelphia gets, there's this, when you go south and west, let me bring the map back up. When we go south and west,
Philadelphia gets almost 6/10 of an inch.
From altogether.
Yeah.
So but the first thing, yeah, look at that. They get 28, 33, 36, then 15. It never stops there, the precip,
right,
according to them.
Right.
But it gets 42, 5700ths. But even here, it's 0, 0, and 0, and -1, 0, -1.
Right. And the thicknesses, though, do go up to like 44. So that may mean
there might be some sleet there. Yeah. But the vertical motion could compensate for that because they've got that one big burst of vertical motion going on there.
Right.
All right, so we're out to 63 hours. So I think at this point let's widen out. It's not often that we actually have three weather systems in a span of 4 days to look at.
Right.
Considering how the winter has been, this is pretty
think
busy.
About this, Joe. At the stroke of midnight tonight, we're moving into
March. So
and here we go again.
By the way, this will be the first for New York City anyway. If we don't wind up doing it, if it doesn't happen Friday night, Saturday, and it doesn't happen late Sunday night, we will not have had a 3-inch snowfall from one system. That hasn't happened since the winter of 72, 73.
Wow.
And we were saying how this winter has a lot of similarity to that.
Yeah, but what about that's for the winter season?
Right, that's for the winter. Well, right, we did have it in November, but inside the winter months.
Right.
You got to go back to 73 for the last time that happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyhow, so here's system number 2 on the wide view. And by the way, folks, it's really important with regards to how these systems play out, especially the second one, because I think this is the one, that's going to have a big impact on number 3 for late Sunday and Sunday night.
Of course.
Now, let's look at. We have it out to 75 hours now, so that'll at least take us along. I'm going to switch to the upper air before we go to the surface map, because one of the things that has struck me in this overall pattern is how flat everything is. When you look at the jet stream, I mean, there's actually a little bit of a short wave that comes through Friday night into Saturday morning that you can pick out there moving offshore.
Right.
But the general flow is pretty flat, and I just wonder. Now here we are, almost a Sunday evening, Joe. Look how flat the flow is from the southern Appalachians. You follow these height lines. It's hard for me to envision how is a low going to wind up going northeast inland of the coast with a jet stream as broad as this.
So the problem, for all those who are watching us right now, the problem we've been wrestling with is that the GFS model, following along with what Joe just mentioned in terms of flat, is showing some signs of suppression for the Sunday night system.
As is the Icon model, which over the last few weeks has really behaved very well handling some of the storms we've had. But go on.
And meanwhile, the European model continues to say that this next system on Sunday, well, not the next system, but the system coming our way for late Sunday and Sunday night, is going to come almost directly over the tri-state area and pull in enough mild air to change this over to a mainly rain event. You'd have to go up to, let's say, Dutchess or Ulster or Sullivan County to get a flat-out snow. But meanwhile, south of there, it's either going to be a mixed bag or maybe just mostly
it's all rain. It's all rain. But I have been arguing that if you're looking at an upper flow that looks like this, I find it difficult to see how you're going to take a surface low that's going to try to run inland of the coast all the way up. In particular, Joe, when you look at it in the Atlantic, there's still a lack of traffic out there. There's nothing that's going to log jam.
No blocking.
No, and there's nothing that's going to. There are no other storms out in the Atlantic that are going to force whatever system that's coming out to try to find the path of least resistance, which would be more toward the north rather than to the east. Right now, the path of least resistance for these systems is to go straight east. I don't know why this one. Again, given the nature of how broad this bowl looks, if you look at this, the jet stream flow, if you see how the blue sweeps out from left to right, it looks like a giant ball, a bowling ball is coming down. There's no sharpness to the flow. And
we saw that before, didn't we, earlier on in the winter season?
Yes.
That bowling ball effect, as you call it?
Yes, when we had the big vortex drop down.
Right.
It was just like this gigantic bowling ball,
right,
and there was no room for any storms. Everything in the flow was on the weak side.
I also want to point out, and I was here on Sunday for the windstorm, or the impending windstorm, and if you had asked me back on Sunday what the pattern would be now and beyond into the upcoming weekend, back last weekend, it looked for all the world like we were going to have a major storm going up to the Great Lakes.
Another one.
And that would eventually move to our north, and we would be into a big windy type of weather pattern, northwesterly winds on Sunday. Absolutely, completely, and totally different than what we're looking at for the setup this weekend.
Right.
There is no storm going through the Great Lakes, and Sunday, instead of being prepared for maybe another gusty, windy day, we will be preparing for what could be some sort of an East Coast system.
Now there goes the first low. Once it passes southeast of Cape Cod, it actually, deepens down to a 990 low, but it moves right along. It just shoots out to the east-northeast and goodbye. And now here comes the system, the third in the series and the strongest one of the bunch. We're seeing this for the first time, folks. We haven't seen it yet, so we're watching it with you.
This is 75 hours?
This is no, this is at 60 hours.
60 hours.
So we've got a low in north central Mississippi, and we're at 10 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. Before I roll to the next shot, here's what we should look for. If you're a snow lover, what you don't want to see is the snow starting in upstate New York and in New England before it starts on Long Island and in New Jersey and in eastern Pennsylvania, okay? Because anytime it starts snowing, usually when it starts snowing upstate and in New England, you're going to wind up with a more inland track.
Right.
So now I'm going to hit the button, and we're going to go to 66 hours. Okay, so far so good for the snow lovers. We got a low in eastern Tennessee, 69. Okay, so now already this is different from the prior run, Joe, because the prior run was trying to start the snows up in New England and taking the low, as you described, running closer to the coast. Okay, 69. So now we're at Sunday. This is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Snow develops, and now we're into Sunday evening, and we've got a low in western North Carolina, west central North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
The isobars are kind of pointing toward Delaware and off the southern New Jersey coast. Snowing in North Jersey, changes to rain on Long Island. Okay, so now we've got the low in Chesapeake Bay, and that's as far out as we go. So we still have a track on the NAM that would suggest a changeover to rain for the coastal areas, but not too far inland, Joe, is that dark blue snow, and there's some sleet there. I don't, it's hard to tell on that
Well, we got
shot.
we still have to get to 78, 81, 84, and
okay.
So we still have three more.
Let's go back. All right. So let's look at the prior run. Let's compare. And by the way, just because this is one run, one of the things I've been trying to emphasize on a lot of my live streams is that
it's only one model.
And it's only one model. One of the things I've been trying to emphasize on my live streams is it's very important so that you don't go through all these emotional roller coasters and everybody's saying, well, models change, and they do change. But if you don't, it's important to get an understanding of what the overall pattern is, which is what we were describing as far as the jet stream is concerned. And then you can watch the models change, and when they change, they won't surprise you because you'll start to you learn to anticipate what those changes are going to be. So, we're out to 84. So there's your low over. So it moves right over into the southern tip of Delaware Bay by 84 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we can compare the 78 to the old 84. Actually, that was the old run. I had switched it. So the old run took it like this. Okay, so the old 84 has it, right on the southeast tip of Delaware there.
Okay.
So let's go to the new 84, which we should have. I mean the new 78. And the new 78 has it just south of the south shore of Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and then from there it heads right over Cape Cod. It almost lines up. This is kind of what the European did, actually. So it kind of lines up with the way the European has it. But I think there's still room here for this to be further south. I do. It's a 992 low. I don't understand how it gets this deep with the jet stream the way it is. It just seems overdeveloped to me.
Well, let's take a look at the 500. See what it looks like here by this particular time. Yeah. See. Yeah. Normally when you see something like this, you might see in the actual jet stream there's like a little bit of a minor. But it's not like a perturbation.
Some kind of V shape.
Yeah.
It just looks so broad.
An open wave, let's say.
Yeah.
It's just too smooth.
It is.
Too smooth.
All right, look, we're not going to resolve the Sunday night, Monday situation tonight, that's for sure. I think we'll probably have, we got the whatever we get tomorrow morning, and it looks like the system in some areas for Friday night into Saturday morning looking more robust at this point,
right?
And a little colder. So we got to put that one front. We're going to have to put that one front and center.
Wouldn't it be funny
before we deal with the one for later Sunday?
Wouldn't it be funny
if that winds up producing more snow?
We've been telling everybody Sunday night, and especially for people who are worried about snow. It would be funny if it turned out to be tomorrow night and Saturday being the one that dumped all the snow, and then Sunday we end up with all the rain. That wouldn't be the first time that happened.
No,
folks.
and it certainly won't be the last. All right, so I guess that's it. We can bring a close to this show tonight, I guess. You have anything else to remind everybody about?
No, I have nothing really. I love that name, Carl Rossby.
Mr. Rossby says that the NAM is useless for Sunday this far out. Carl, I think you bring up a good point, and he is a top fan, by the way.
Okay.
But I think you do bring up a good point. The NAM, let's remember, the NAM this winter has not been the model of choice, and nor has it done very well in a lot of these systems, especially outside of the 36 to 42 hour range. It has been troublesome. So you look at it, you kind of shrug your shoulders, and you wait to see what all the other model suites do, and then we'll try and figure it out. But I do agree with you. You bring up about the Saturday system being a bit more intense. I agree. I think maybe that now becomes, perhaps that's going to have to be front and center in terms of our attention, because we don't want an upside surprise.
Right.
So at least we're...
or what I call a Gomer pile. Surprise, surprise, surprise.
I think, as I said earlier, I think looking at the NAM and looking at the HRRR, you have to start to consider whether at least a slushy few inches could be the outcome for some areas,
right.
Friday night and Saturday morning. good. You're on that page. We're on the same page. That's always good.
Don't forget, tomorrow is the first day of March, and as I said on our 5 o'clock FiOS 1 News Now hour a few hours ago to Courtney Kane and Mike Gilliam, I said tomorrow is the month of March, the month that we're all happy to see when it arrives, and some years even happier to see when it finally goes. And last year was a good example of that.
Muhammad Lapin says, right here in northwest New Jersey in Stillwater, near the
Kidney Ridge?
Kittatinny Ridge. We always get more, and I'm sick of seeing, quote, fake news snow total reports. Well, which ones are fake, though? Are the ones from northwest Jersey or the ones from everywhere else? Because I'm not sure which fake snow reports are fake news you're referring to.
We have a few people who are up at the northern or Jersey storm watchers or
he
weather,
wants
weather
snow,
club?
by the way. Yes, you mean the Northern New Jersey Weather Observers?
Right, Nick Stefano.
Yes,
yeah. And I mean they take their measurements up near High Point State Park, which is like over 1,000 feet above.
But I think he's lamenting. Muhammad's lamenting over the fact that northern New Jersey has gotten much less snow this winter than southern New Jersey.
Oh well.
And this might be the time. This could be an opportunity to turn that around, or at least temporarily turn that around.
We'll see. We'll see.
There was one other comment here. I lost it, and I lost my train of thought now, so I can't remember what it was. But I know it was important. I wanted to address it. Oh, silly me. Where is it?
It's already been a long week, Joe.
I know, it sure has. Oh, wait, you know what? I'll know when I'll remember. The minute I shut the live stream down, I'll remember. Okay, we've got to go. It's coming up on the top of the hour. I've got FiOS 1 News Long Island and New Jersey to do.
And I have FiOS 1 News Lower Hudson Valley. In the morning, we have Brian Fitzgerald, Chief Meteorologist. Midday, we have Mr. Addison Green and Ms. Brittany Bohr. And then you and I will be back for the evening run.
My snow forecast maps are up on my website, meteorologistjoechaffee.com. And I've got the snowfall forecast for tomorrow morning for anywhere from Maryland all the way through southern New England and parts of upstate New York. You'll see who gets what and where. And I also have one up for Friday night and Saturday. We showed you that earlier, but if you want to review it. But if you want to see my early speculative call for Sunday, well, you got to be a supporter, so a Facebook supporter. So just bear that in mind, that I'll be doing some stuff just for those of you that are Facebook supporters and those of you who are my top fans. So those will be things that you will those groups will only get to see.
Okay.
Okay. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
I think it's going to be a very interesting and active night tomorrow night.
Yes.
Yes.
Bye.